Okay, so welcome to your 60-day guided reboot for thyroid, your third webinar. Our third check-in, and tonight we'll be talking about resistant weight loss strategies. So it's really helpful for anyone who's doing a program like this, but it's particularly helpful for people with a sluggish hypothyroid, because obviously it does become a common issue for people, struggling with the thyroid condition. So again, congratulations on your last 26 days. How are you all feeling? So our agenda for tonight will be a check-in, obviously, to see how you're going. And then we'll be talking about working smarter, not harder. So just kind of incorporating, nutritional guidelines that are very specific for thyroid health to support the metabolism as well as the thyroid health. Tips for promoting weight loss. So what can we do to promote weight loss? Keys for key nutrients. So nutrients play a really big role with metabolic health. So we know that when people are nutrient deficient because they're not eating a healthy diet, therefore their metabolism tends to be more sluggish, their liver function reduces, their immune system alters, and thyroid function is worsened. So we really want to look at nutrients that are very specific for supporting the metabolism and, of course, supporting thyroid health. And also support and community and the importance, as we know, and a group discussion. So how are you guys been feeling? Hi, Margaret. I am here but completely off the program, looking for inspiration to get back on track. This happens. So what I would say to you, Margaret, is just start today. Just get that next meal if you haven't finished today, but I'm assuming it's probably 9 o'clock for you. Make tomorrow a new day, and just even review why you fell off. Is there anything you can share with us about why you fell off? I get why people fall off, but it's really super important to not give up on this. So just keep trying, reminding yourself that to be good at being healthy and being good at taking care of yourself, it's not something that necessarily happens overnight. It's an instrument we need to practice at. So we just keep practicing and we just keep trying. And each time you try, you get a little bit better and a little bit better. And obviously you reap the rewards of health benefits. But, I'm glad you're here and I'm glad you made it tonight and I'm glad you've shared that with me. So it's really important for, me to know that. Does anyone else want to share about how they're feeling? Just seeing if anyone's got their hand up or they want to just write it down for me. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just ask a poll then, just kind of waiting for anyone who wants to share a bit more information. We'll go back to symptoms again because I do this every webinar. Okay, Sarah says feeling great but having trouble sticking to the juice only. So what have you been able to manage, Sarah? Have you been able to stick to it or you're just having trouble? And when you do struggle, what are you consuming? Remember, we can still have some fruit or veggie pieces, we can still nibble on things. As we're going in between our juices, we can enjoy sliced up cucumber, zucchini, celery, carrot sticks, a green apple, some blueberries. Sheila says, I feel better since eating a salad, which is perfectly fine to do. If we make sure that we're doing the 5 juices a day and then we find that it helps us to have a light veggie-based meal where we're not putting in anything off the reboot plan, then that's perfectly fine. You're still going to get lots of health benefits from this. So, it's really about finding what you can manage. And if you can't do salt juice only, then best thing we can do is chat about that and finding what solution is best for you to maintain your results and just working together as a team, and also me working with you to support you. Okay, so I'll just quickly read that out. 75% have digestive disturbances. Okay, so I'm assuming I've given you enough time to answer that. So only 57% of you have, but I'm assuming you're not getting any of the symptoms, and 25% all of the above. So does anyone want to differentiate whether it's constipation or diarrhea that anyone's suffering? We'll just wait for that to roll on through. So I'll take that down. So, okay, great. We've got some chatting going on. Sarah says, I get the munchies mostly from stress, reaching for bad stuff instead of crunchy fruits and veggies. This is just a habit to change. If you're used to reaching out for the bad foods, you've just got to try and substitute this. Even if you don't feel like it, I get it. And, you know, you're having a craving, let's try and decode what that craving means. Obviously, as you said, it's stress-induced. When people go after carbohydrates, sometimes the best thing to do is to do maybe half a punnet or blueberries or do a really sweet juice. Normally, even though it's not what you particularly feel like, it will actually stop it in its tracks. So, and then eventually, if you keep doing this as much as you can, doesn't mean you have to be perfect, your craving will start to flip. So it will become a stress response. So a stress response will lead into healthier desires when you start making those changes. So normally the changes have to be made and for then the desire to reduce and then for things to switch up a little bit. So just taking those first initial steps of reaching for something that may not be exactly what you want, but even if we do, we have very strong relationship with reaching for food emotionally. If we start reaching for foods like some strawberries or something a little bit like that, eventually it will start breaking that habit, because the most important thing in this entire plan is to really start breaking those emotional eating links, because if they continue to rage, then the weight will continue to pile on. Unless we start kind of checking in with really kind of addressing the issue of emotional eating and reaching for junk food, it will just continue to progressively get worse. So I just want to encourage just maybe trying other tactics. So when you're feeling stressed, remember that deep breathing. Remember, maybe just put that list on your fridge where you just try every other tactic and tell yourself, if I've tried everything and nothing's worked, then I'll go back to what I normally do. But if you at least kind of give yourself 5 different options and you've tried them all and you feel like none of them have helped you. So just little kind of delayed gratification actions that you can take to each time, even if it's one less time, then that's one step in the right direction. Hopefully that kind of resonates or just kind of makes a bit of sense. Okay, Sheila says, I'm trying to get back on the juice, need to try to make better tasting juices. So normally what I say to that is to list all your favorite produce. So maybe you can tell me, I think I may have asked you, do you like pineapple, oranges? What's your favorite kind of fruity taste, or even veggies in a juice that you think, okay, I'm partial to that particularly? And then just creating something that you really like. Do you like ginger? Do you not like ginger? Do you like lemon? Do you not like lemon? And really working on some recipes that are very geared towards your taste buds. I mean, it's something that it's really super important for people to enjoy them. So, and finding those juices that you really like. But the most important thing, and where we get the best results with this plan, is just the quantity of juices, because it's the antioxidants in that large quantity that's really going to help reduce the inflammation that's associated with the immune disorder of Hashimoto's disease. So we really want lots of those antioxidants there. Okay, Dawn and Sarah both say constipation. Okay, so with constipation, what I recommend is making sure in the mornings do an extra lemon and ginger drink, and also adding in some chia seeds. So what you can do is add up to a tablespoon, so a few teaspoons slowly and up to a tablespoon to help with the constipation. And remember, when you increase your fiber intake, you must increase your water. So quite often the best thing to do for constipation is even have, say, 2 extra 16-ounce serves of water. How much water are you drinking, Sarah and Dawn? Because that can also have an impact, because the water goes to the bowel lastly in the body. It's used for everything else as a priority. Making sure that you're doing significant water on top of your juices. Nausea. So Sheila, you've said nausea. So I've given you a list of things. Which one have you tried? Everything? The apple cider vinegar, the slippery elm, hot lemon, ginger, peppermint tea, chamomile tea. It's definitely your liver having a big complaint about this. So just to clarify, and sorry if I've asked you this before, do you have a fatty liver? I think you said yes. Dawn says not nearly enough. Okay, this can impact your weight loss as well in a very, very big way. So reminding you guys that 16 ounces of juice stimulates the metabolism by 30% for up to an hour. So if you can imagine each time you drink 16 ounces of water, if you're stimulating your metabolism 6 times a day, which would be, oh no, I won't even try to calculate that. That's terrible. No, what's that? 96 ounces. 96 ounces of water, and you are stimulating your metabolism for 6 hours in your day and increasing it by 30%. You are burning way more calories. So this is based on scientific research. So, and also you will, because when we get constipated, it actually negatively impacts our ability to lose weight. So when we've got slow bowel emptying capacity, hence, ACA, constipation, our ability to lose weight gets reduced significantly. So it's super important to keep our stools moving through sufficiently. So super important. Not drinking enough water. Okay, so what I'm suggesting, if you're not drinking 2 litres, you really have to get to probably about 2.5. So be mindful that broth, coconut water and herbal teas are included in that as well. But if anyone's prone to constipation, quite often they need extra water, and maybe just try a couple of teaspoons of chia seeds as well, just to really get it moving, because it will help your weight loss significantly. So not only does it increase the metabolism, but emptying your bowels regularly helps with weight loss. So there's two reasons why having enough water makes this plan more successful. Sheila says, years ago I was told blood test was high for liver. So, definitely would be, your chances of having a fatty liver are very high. When you have a fatty liver, there's so many signs that are associated with poor function. When someone gets resistant nausea, it means that their liver is really getting stimulated, as is the bile. So it's getting overstimulated in the sense of it's not a bad thing. It just means that the liver is really struggling to work. So, trying those techniques and quelling down the nausea, particularly things like slippery elm and the ginger, and even a probiotic could help. So are you diluting the juices right down? So I'd even say 50-50. So you're drinking 50% juice, 50% water, and then drinking 50%. So constantly, pretty much every hour, you're drinking a bit of juice completely and utterly watered down to a point where you can't even, the taste of the juice is quite watered down. Okay, yes, you do dilute them. Okay, so 50-50 dilution at all. So 50% water. So what you're doing is having your juice, not that much. Let's try that much. That's what I do with something that's really super strong and upsets anybody. I've always said if it gets to a point, try the 50-50. But so where you would go juice, water, in terms of every hour, hour and a half, I want you to go juice, water, juice, water, juice, water, juice, water. So instead of doing a juice, then a water, then a juice, then a water, we're kind of doing a mix. And therefore, it's not going to stimulate your liver. There's a lot of healing that occurs with liver function in juicing. One of the reasons why I think the metabolism improves, because when our liver is fatty, we're more likely to store fat rather than burn fat. So our ability to lose weight gets harder and harder. The fattier the liver, the more dysfunction occurs with weight control. So the cleaner the liver, and I have a chart right in front of me here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Where did I put them? Okay, I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to try and see myself. I should put this in the slide. This will be an extra one. So this one here, I show this to people all the time. So this is a very mild. No, that one's a mild. So this is people who would never know. The blood tests are normal, everything's normal, but they just have symptoms of, slight mild dysfunction. And then another one here, really should put them in the slide, shouldn't I? This one's a really bad one. So as you can see, it's full of fat. Okay, so its ability to burn fat and have fast metabolism is really, really, really poor because the liver is full of fat. This affects weight loss considerably. So you guys see those clearly? Put them in the thing. I need to talk about liver more. I think the other practitioners don't. Okay, I have discovered, Dawn says, I have discovered kombucha. Is this one okay daily? Yes, it is, absolutely. Just have that small amount though, about 100 mils, because it's full of bacteria. The sugar content is quite low if it's prepared properly because the bacteria consume the sugar, so there's not much left for you. Definitely can be great for nausea too, Sheila. So if you do a ginger kombucha, which you can buy in some health food stores, then that would be helpful too. But stick to the 50 to 100 mils a day. Okay, right, I see what you're saying. So we'll just keep trying. We will get there, Sheila. It's just a little bit resistant, this issue. Okay, so benefits you guys have seen. Did you get to see the colour? I love my liver pictures because I think sometimes people forget what things look like internally, and I think it's so important to bring a visual to the situation for people to be able to associate. This is what a greasy, unhealthy fatty liver looks like. Can you imagine it filtering your blood effectively when it's fatty? It doesn't. You have to get all those beautiful antioxidants in fruits and vegetables to rehabilitate those cells into red, functioning, filtering cells rather than, you know, clumps of fat. And most doctors don't really kind of put much importance on fatty liver, but the list of symptoms that are associated with liver dysfunction is very long. And it's normally associated with very poor blood sugar control and too much rubbish and not enough nutrients. I am dragging, can't sleep and don't know about my skin. How much juice are you drinking, Sheila? Because if you're having trouble with the nausea, I'm imagining it probably feels maybe perhaps you're not drinking enough of them because they're making you not feel well. Is that what's possibly occurring? Because you're showing symptoms of just not getting enough. Yes. See, I get it. The thing is, though, is maybe if we try the massive amount of dilution, you basically drink it all day long, you might not get too much in one go. So you're showing signs that we're not getting enough nutrients and calories, and hence why the food's made you feel suddenly much, much better. So and making sure, are you doing the protein? Are you being diligent with the protein in the broth as well? Because we need to make sure you're getting enough. Oh no, you said yes, and I'm not sure what you said yes to. Sarah, would fatty liver lead to and contribute to heart disease? Yes, it can. Yeah, mainstream medicine say no, we say yes. So when you have a fatty liver, nothing, because, I mean, this is another sheet I have here. I've got a poll writing. Okay, I'll close that, guys. But just to show you, I really need to add these. This is more of the experience I've had over the years because I've worked with fatty liver. These are some of the symptoms people get with the fatty liver. So under abnormal metabolism of fats, you end up with elevated LDL cholesterol and more triglycerides and more inflammation. So that's the reason why people who are carrying too much weight have an increased risk of cancer, because their inflammation is increased substantially in the body. That's called visceral fat. So if you've got a fatty liver, you almost have a fatty heart, but the liver is involved with our inflammatory markers, it's involved with inflammation in the body, it's involved with our cholesterol levels, and it builds up. We end up with more fat around our organs the more dysfunctional the liver becomes, and it then creates more likelihood to become overweight. So it just keeps perpetuating itself. But absolutely, yeah, so a sluggish metabolism is definitely a sign of a fatty liver as well. Okay, so let's share your results because I haven't really looked at them yet. Okay, so 20% have improved digestion, 40% have improved energy, 20% improved sleep, and 20% all of the above. So, okay, 60% have improved energy. So, yeah, I mean, they're fairly good results. Is there anything else anyone's experiencing that's outside of the questions, because they're quite limited in terms of positives or negatives? Stock made you feel sick. Okay. So again, you probably need to just make that super, super weak. Yeah, I'm very concerned that you're just not getting enough. Maybe we could even move into some soup, Sheila, a bit early for you, because I think that it's just too stimulating for you. So I would consider just doing maybe a soup a day, as well as at least 3 to 4 juices, and just doing all those dilutions. and let me know how that goes. Does that feel like it sits with you? My skin is better, says Sarah. Inflammation is diminished. Sinuses are clear. That's very good. So sinuses is a good thing. That can be quite tricky too. Okay, so let's just talk about weight loss since that's the topic. So Sheila, you said protein just about half. Okay, we've got to make sure we're doing enough protein too. I know I sound like a broken down record. Lack of benefits is normally a lack of juice. So that's that's just the observation I've seen from majority of people, that they're just not drinking enough juice, and I can understand that would be what would be occurring if these juices are making you nauseous. No one wants to feel nauseous. I hate being nauseous. So yeah, we just need to keep working on that, because the benefits in your experience of Reboot will be diminished because we're not getting enough of those antioxidants, which is what majority of the benefits are coming from when we're looking at this plan, because we're really just consuming an enormous amount of fruits and vegetables in a very concentrated, easily assimilated form, hence why the energy improves, the palate changes, and all of the above. Okay, so, all right, so we have 33% yes, but it could be better. 17% are mixed and no, it's too slow. Does anyone want to share what they've lost? I don't like to put too much focus on weight loss, but since it's the topic of tonight, because to me, obviously, energy is more important, because where energy flows, weight goes. So meaning that if energy is improving, it means your metabolism is improving. And sometimes weight can come off a bit further down the track, especially with thyroid. Again, with thyroid, a lot of these descriptions I'm giving in terms of being more sluggish is definitely hypothyroidism. Even when people are medicated, like I've said before, those medications, quite often people are still exhibiting all the symptoms still. 18 pounds so far. Okay. That's still very good though. When it comes to thyroid, it's normally half a pound a day. It averages, and it can go up to 1 pound depending on the person, but it does sit around the half a pound versus the average person doing a reboot's around 1 pound. Women tend to lose weight slower as well than men do. We have different hormonal systems. When women get closer to menopause, it has a negative impact. Okay, so we'll start moving along. Let's talk about solutions. That's the most important thing of all, isn't it? So with thyroid and weight, it's slower metabolism, slower weight loss is common. Weight may move quickly, then slowly. So at the beginning, it can drop off and then really slow down. So what we want to do is make sure we're doing all the key important steps to make sure that we're giving our body the right nutrients and the right fluids to give you optimum weight loss. So for example, if we're not drinking enough water, you're not going to get optimum weight loss. Not drinking enough juice, unfortunately, we won't have optimum weight loss. So it can be frustrating. So obviously many of you have felt frustrated, and we want to obviously give you guys specific keys to support and break through weight loss plateaus, because it's very normal for people to have weight loss plateaus. It's kind of more of, as I say to people, it's a drop, stop situation. It's, each person loses weight in a different way, but everyone has weight loss plateaus no matter what. So that's the reason why measurements sometimes can be more of a thorough overview rather than weight per se. So particularly measurements around the trunk of the body and the waist, they matter more than anything else does. So, and we also want to understand how thyroid function affects weight loss. Wrong way. Okay, so tips for promoting weight loss with thyroid and just general. So remember, bumping up your water. And that's a hard habit that, not drinking enough water is something a lot of people do without consciously being aware. How often I hear people say, yep, I don't drink enough water, and then, they might do it for a day and then forget. So normally what I suggest is that you measure your cups in your kitchen, the ones that you commonly use, and you know how many ounces or mils are in that cup, and you always count how many you're doing a day. And I normally say by lunchtime, remember you should have drunk half the recommendation. So at least, 32 ounces by lunchtime as a bare minimum. So it's super important. And when we know that studies show that increasing our water consumption past and beyond our minimum recommended intake will actually increase your weight loss. So drinking more juice, I know a lot of people think the less the better. It's not the case when it comes to juicing. Not when it comes to sugary juices, of course, but definitely the low sugar juices, the more the better. I have found in so many cases when I've said to people, increase your juices if your weight loss has plateaued, and then the weight within 2 or 3 days the weight starts to really move again. So I think with the lack of nutrients and sometimes the lack of calories, the body does slow the metabolism down, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to rev it up. So, and we're remembering to follow the 80-20% rule. So if somebody's struggling and they're, what we can recommend to help is reduce the fruit that you're consuming. Obviously, I don't want you to get to a point where you can't stand your juices, but reducing the sweetness can really bump things up. So getting all of those nutrients and antioxidants without getting extra calories. So we just want to make sure fruit's still present, but we can work on reducing it if we find people are struggling with weight loss on this plan. And also when you're at this stage, we can start tweaking things as well, including metabolic supportive ingredients. So things like chili can help, grapefruit if you're not consuming medications that are contraindicated. We know lemons, limes, and ginger are really, really helpful for weight loss, and as are spices like cinnamon. So we can up the ante on our juices and add extra to help with the weight loss. Getting moving, obviously, even if we do 20 or 30 minutes walking around the block, can help budge that resistant weight that just won't go. So kind of doing something a little bit different to what you've done in the past. So if you've been, say, walking and you do lots of that, then maybe a little bit of weight training once or twice a week can be enough to start making things happen, because you're making a change. So muscle adaptation, starts to change. So therefore, as does the weight. So changing things up a little bit as well, or just doing a bit extra. Instead of going for 20 minutes, go for 30, or instead of going for 30, go for 40. All these little small changes add up and can really start moving things along. As I said before, addressing constipation. So we know that when someone's constipated, the weight loss is definitely slower. I always almost find this an absolute. Someone's constipated, it's very difficult to lose weight. Sleeping more, remembering those who snooze, they lose. But we know that the metabolism works better when someone is well rested. So if we're getting 8 to 9 hours is my recommendation, those people find weight loss a lot easier. Their cravings are less, their appetite control is better, and obviously your energy is better when your metabolism is working better, because you're well rested and your cells are well rested. So doing an average weigh-in weekly, doing it too frequently can, fluid intake, hydration, hormonal changes can change you even 3-4 pounds in one go. So it's super important to only try and weigh yourself once or twice a week maximum, because when people look at it daily, it can be disheartening, because you might have worked really hard, done all the right things, and 2 days later nothing's budged on the scales. But I can assure you there's a lot of changes occurring internally. Another thing I'd like to add to this one is liver function, which you've heard me mention before. When we are losing fat off our livers, it is exactly the same as losing fat off our subcutaneous tissue, but it does not change the way what we weigh, and it doesn't even change the centimeters, because majoritively most of us are looking at subcutaneous fat that we want to get rid of. But when it comes to the body, the way it burns fat is it burns it internally, externally, internally, externally. So a lot of these weight loss plateaus are actually the metabolism and the liver function improving, as the body replaces the fat cells in the liver and replaces them with healthy, functioning, filtering hepatocytes. There's no change that you can visually see. I see them on blood tests all the time when people are making positive changes, but remember, it's an inside-outside job, and the healthier and the redder and the higher and the better our liver functions, the more weight and the better we burn fat. So you can imagine a nice functioning liver supports metabolism, and it supports the way it becomes a fat burner instead of a fat storer. So this is where a lot of the internal work happens, and this is often where people lose heart, because they think, I'm doing all this hard work, I'm not seeing the results, but I can assure you that a lot of the metabolic reconstruction is occurring internally. And I get to prove that with people with frequent blood tests. But it's one of those things that occurs when someone's going through a big change and they're doing all the right things, and often they give up when actually all the good stuff's happening on the inside. Non-weight markers of positive change. So really it's the energy increases, the clearer thoughts, less bloating, the way your clothes are fitting on you. You know, these sorts of things are way more important than how many kilos or pounds you are. This is where the real change is evident. You know, that's why they always say it's how your clothes fit you. Practice patience, mindfulness, and self-compassion. So really kind of just allowing your body to catch up with what you're doing here, because there's usually quite a delay. So people can make all the positive changes in the world, and sometimes it takes a little bit for everything to start catching up, and that includes weight loss. So sometimes it can have a 1 or 2 week delay. So when you go back to eating again, you might find that weight loss will obviously it will, but with the plan that we've given you, but the weight will just keep rolling off. So definitely don't lose heart, people. I promise, it will come to fruition. Connect with your support. So really, you know, again, that's me talking about you guys communicating, and you're doing a really good job of that. And you're really doing a very good job of supporting each other. And just keep, you know, if things aren't going fine for you, please just let me know, and we'll just keep working on solutions. And also, you know, giving me feedback about how things are working for you and how maybe they're just not working for you in terms of suggestions I've made, so I can give you more. There's normally 20 suggestions for one problem, and it's a matter of just eliminating what's not working for you and what will work for you. So key nutrients, super important. These are all thyroid specific. So selenium, I kind of recommend with people with Hashimoto's to take a supplement as well as supportive intake through food, just to make sure you're having optimum levels. So at least 100 to 200 micrograms a day can have make a lot of difference in thyroid function. I've seen it over and over again. Brazil nuts, yes, are high in selenium. You know, it's one of the really off the chart selenium rich foods that we can consume. You know, you have 1 to 3 gives you the recommended daily intake, and then obviously you can have more if you wish to, or you can supplement otherwise. Other foods are fish, wild of course, mushroom, pinto lima beads, egg yolks, and spinach. Magnesium is really important for the Krebs cycle, so it's super important for energy production. Quite often, people who suffer with leg cramps, aches and pains, muscle tics, if anyone knows what they are, you can kind of get tics when you're falling asleep, or eye tics or a finger tic. These sorts of things signify a severe magnesium deficiency, which are majoritively found in dark green leafy veggies. This can have a negative impact. So as you can see from these nutrients, for example, if you're low in even one of them, your metabolism has to compensate. Because these nutrients are specifically required, which means they're essential for you to produce energy from your food and energy from things that you're eating. So the Krebs cycle is a cycle in our body, in every single cell, that converts our food into an energy that the cells can utilize in our mitochondria. And we need lots of nutrients to do this effectively. So if you can imagine having any type of nutrient deficiency, which is so easy to get if you're not eating good food, you know, the body can't make these minerals out of thin air. So to have optimum function, it needs these minerals coming in every single day. There are some things we store in the body, but most of them we don't, so we need them on an ongoing basis. So we need to be consuming dark green leafies every single day. You know, that's why obviously we have the green juices and what the importance of those green juices are for energy production. Dark chocolate, hence why some people crave chocolate. Definitely, you know, adding a cacao to smoothies, like a pure unprocessed chocolate. Chocolate is very bitter. It's very good for the digestive system, but when we add a lot of rubbish and sugar and vegetable fats and milks, we really kind of destroy a lot of the health benefits. So, you know, if anyone's having a chocolate craving in the future, what I recommend is getting really high chocolate mass, so 90%, and just having 1 square of that if you really want it. And normally that will kill the desire to have any more. You can't really pig out in dark chocolate. Almonds, sunflower seeds, and molasses. Carnitine, this is a non-essential amino acids found in protein. This is specific for energy production. definitely has a major impact on energy. Back when I was in my 20s, I used to take it before I went to the gym, and used to make me a bit, I had so much energy. It was not funny, but people who go to the gym tend to take it, but we do source it from our food. It's super important for energy. It's really important for particularly muscular and skeletal muscle energy. So we've got our meat, fish, poultry, dairy are our best sources, but other amino acids that we intake from food. So it's really those proteins that we need to, contribute to our carnitine production, which is made from other amino acids as well. B vitamins are our energy vitamins. They're in our whole grains, our leafies, again our green leafies. Green leafies are a nutrient minefield. Nuts and seeds, legumes, beans, eggs and dairy. B vitamins are our energetic vitamins. So, your B1, your B12, your B3, 6, 5, 9. So as well as our biotin, choline, and inositol. These are all really important nutrients. So again, if people aren't eating these foods, they're just not getting these nutrients, and our body is working at a suboptimum level because it can only work as efficiently as the nutrients it is provided with. Vitamin D, super important for energy and thyroid function and immune function. Every single cell in the body has a vitamin D receptor, so our understanding of vitamin D is probably still in its infancy. Every single cell in the body needs vitamin D. This is a hormone. It's a vitamin because we need to obtain it from the sun to function and to be healthy, but it's technically a hormone. So sunshine is our best way of getting vitamin D, but if we live at certain climates that are cold, through winter months and even in the mid-seasons, we don't actually get any vitamin D. So the idea is to historically get your vitamin D stores up in summer to get you through the winter. A lot of studies show that people who suffer with SAD, so seasonal affective disorder, is commonly associated also with vitamin D, as well as sunshine. It's super important to get sunshine in the eyes, because when we get natural sunlight that hits our retina, it tells our brain to be happy, to get up, to get things done. But unfortunately, if we're inside all the time, even if it's bright and light, and even through windows, we don't get that same neurotransmitter effect. So that's why sitting out in your garden in the morning can be super helpful for an energetic day as well as a restful sleep. So as that serotonin is stimulated in the morning, as the sun falls, your melatonin gets produced. So if you've got bright house lighting and you're not turning your lights down, and you're not getting enough sunshine, you're looking at your smartphone, the computer too late at night, it can actually start altering your melatonin production, which in fact has a major effect on weight. We know that shift workers, for example, tend to be 20 pounds heavier than people who aren't shift workers by average. So we know that the sun plays a really big role in our ability to burn fat. It affects our calorie cravings, and it affects the way we burn fat. So all these simple things that get overlooked really have a major impact on our metabolism, how well we burn fat, what our cravings are telling us, how much sleep we're getting, and how we maintain our weight. So these things are so important. They seem little, but when you work on just improving each step, and it's just practice again, this is going to really help with long-term weight control and obviously weight loss at this moment in time. So, yes, let's see. Has anyone got anything to ask or say about, what I just said? But I will actually post some information on fatty liver as well. So this is something that is super important, and one of the best ways to improve fatty liver is to obviously eat minimal processed foods in the long term. Antioxidants from fruits and vegetables have an immense amount of ability to repair the liver. So it's our one organ that you can chop in half and it will grow back if it's given the right nutrients. So it does 200 different processes in the body every day. It filters a litre of blood. I don't know how much a litre is in conversion to you guys every second. So as you can imagine, it's a really highly metabolic organ. So keeping it nice and healthy is really top of the list. And yes, it's quite nutrient hungry. Okay, so Margaret says, I don't weigh myself, having been on the thyroxine for 40 years. Weighing myself was always depressing, but I think I'm smaller in my clothes. And it's good to know that, because I've actually seen weighing yourself too often being derailing. Some people it motivates them, and some people it derails them. So it's good to know where it sits for you. But weighing yourself daily almost always for a lot of people is not helpful. They've found in studies that once to twice a week seems to be the optimum for most people. But again, if you know that it hasn't been helpful for you, Margaret, then using your clothes is the best way. Because when people get healthier, sometimes they don't get lighter. You know, when we lose muscle mass, we get lighter. And this is when our metabolism slows down. So the more muscle we have, the faster our metabolism. One of the reasons why I think as we get older, our metabolisms do naturally decline, and this is partly due to muscle loss and people becoming more sedentary, and also their fat stores increase and their muscle tissue decreases. So that can also alter the way they burn fat and just make things a little bit harder. That's the reason why I think it's super important to keep on top of that protein to maintain that muscle that you do have. And obviously, you know, you need to grow your muscle cells all the time, so that's why being active is helpful. And it doesn't have to be sweating it out at the gym. It just can be going for a walk or a window shop or something like that. Just house cleaning, yoga, Pilates, all those types of things. Sarah says, I use sunrise lamps, especially in winter. Okay, wow, that's great. So it's that light. So we know that blue light is really bad for sleep, which is coming from all smart technology, televisions, computer screens, smartphones. And melatonin is one of the most powerful natural anti-cancer hormones that we produce in the body. So it's super important to get sufficient, you know, support the production of melatonin. And foods do that as well. Things like cherries and pineapples, and can't remember any more. I think it was walnuts. So good healthy food does a lot for us, more than, you know, most of us know. So we're always working on trying to figure out what these good things are doing to us, but I think we haven't truly uncovered everything that they actually do for us. So it's good to kind of so just talk about what ways have supported you. So a few of you have fallen off, so let's get back on. Let's start, even if we do 4 juices a day and we do a salad at night, you know, or a veggie soup at night, whatever it is that means that it's more manageable for you and you keep taking a positive step forward, is really what I want to encourage, because one thing good is better than no things good. So let's just keep celebrating the positive choices that you guys are making, not to give yourself a hard time if you haven't done things perfectly. Just keep working on doing it and doing all the positive things that you can for yourself, because it is definitely, you know, a learning journey for anyone. You know, is there anyone wants to share in these questions? So what ways do you wish to explore support during your reboot? Has anyone found something helpful to support themselves? So I might ask that old question again. And it's, again, you might find that something that helped you last week's not helping you this week, but maybe it would help you this week. I don't think that's the question. So I'm going to ask 2 questions that I've asked before. Sheila says, watching more food documentaries has kept me only eating veg. Great, absolutely. It does. It's really, you know, the more you educate yourself and see positive stories, you know, the better it will feel and the more it will motivate you. We all need motivation. We all need to have that trigger every day that keeps us pushing ourselves against something that isn't comfortable. You know, changing habits makes us feel scared sometimes. It can cause us to be even anxious. They know when they talk about motivating people to make changes that it's a natural instinct, a part of our animal instinct, that when we go into something new, it can create a little bit of fear. When we go out of our comfort zone, our body says, well, this is not normal. We don't normally do this. I don't like this. This could mean something bad might happen. But irrelevant to what it is, when we go outside of a change, it can be a little bit anxious. It can cause anxiety, to mild to moderate to severe for some people. because when you're going outside of your comfort zone, your kind of mind sometimes rejects that, even when you know logically it's absolutely the best thing. What you need to know is keep moving beyond the fear, keep moving beyond the fear of change, and just keep making that change, and eventually your body and your brain will go, okay, this is our safe zone still, and we've made all this. It's something to get used to. Sometimes people run because there's a bit of fear that comes with it because it doesn't feel good. That's what our body does when anything's a little bit different. So reminding yourself, keep doing it, even if you do feel a little fear from changing. So quite often people fall back into old habits because they have that fear associated with making changes. Interesting psychology when it comes to how people, what changes occurring on a brain level when they make changes. Okay, so we have time and preparation. So it's really important, obviously, just even start planning in your head and then just do it. So it's a huge, huge, huge one. But as I said, guys, get familiar where you live and work and what you can buy that makes it easier, that's still keeping you on track. So even if you go to your juice bar with your mason jars and go, fill me up, 64 to, 80 something ounces of juice, buy them, and if that makes it easier, then whatever you need to do to keep you on track that makes it easy for you, then please do. And 20% community. So excellent work, guys. And, activities, it's really important, where food comes in for a self-reward, we definitely need to continue and practice finding other ways to reward ourselves. And we need to reward ourselves. As human beings, we like to be rewarded. So that's okay. Let's find some other ways to reward ourselves and giving ourselves that rest and time out. Quite often people find themselves at the biscuit jar because they really just need some fresh air and a nice big deep breath, which I'm doing right now because I'm talking so much without breathing. Sheila says, Sarah says, I have not told my extended family about my reboot so I can avoid their judgments. This is helpful. I can definitely understand that too, because you can get filled up with naysayers. So people who can get very negative when, some people often become experts when they don't know what they're talking about. I find that all the time. There's a big difference between someone being involved in a clinical setting with people juice fasting to someone just deciding they think it's a good idea, because it's so different from what they know. So, people will be rushing off and getting hamburgers and chips from McDonald's, and then they'll tell you juice fasting is dangerous. So it's all those kind of odd remarks. I've only told friends who are really health conscious and often juice for themselves. Yeah, exactly. I totally understand why that would be the case for some people. But I can test that people will be asking you what you're up to, because they'll want to do it too when they see the results in front of them. Okay, 40% exercise, 20% hobbies, 20% book and bath, 20% haven't found it yet. So just keep trying, even if you don't think you'd like to. Listening to some music. I find music really helpful. Everybody has their thing. I find drawing kind of, those adult colouring in books. Has anyone got any of those? Find those helpful? They're notoriously good for reducing stress. Okay, so our next webinar will be transitioning into plant-based. So we're nearly coming up to, the end of our juice-only stage. So keep working on that. And as I said, for any of you that feel it makes it more comfortable for you, maybe add in a plant-based salad or a plant-based soup at night time and just try and get those juices in during the day. You will still get great results. So if that suits you better, please feel free to do that. Maybe communicate that. And then when we go to plant-based eating, and it's still really, obviously there's lots to cover in this, and we'll be talking about how to do this, to obviously continue, because the success and the changes that you will experience will continue when we follow the plan as it's been put together. So anyway, are there any questions, which is the 29th, which is a week? And again, congratulations for the end of 20 days 26, whether it's perfect or imperfect. Well done. You're still here. You've joined me tonight. Congratulations. You're still present. You're still listening. You're still asking. So this is, wonderful. If there's no questions, I'll just kind of wait a minute or so. And I will then, let you guys go. Go have a good rest. And I haven't gone overtime. Yes, no problem. Just let me know how those changes go, Sheila. No problem, Sarah. Great. I'm glad. I'm glad you're finding it helpful. Excellent. Good night, Dawn. Okay. All right, guys. Well, have a good night. If you think of anything bruised in your head with anything I've said, there's lots of articles I can post about this, and I will post a couple of them. And I look forward to our next catch up and then reading how you guys are continuing to go. All right. Good night.